The story begins in a dystopian future, showing an underground prison-like setting called Common Ground, patrolled by several guards. Within this place, we are introduced to our protagonist, Frendon Blythe, who wakes up in a small sleeping chamber and sounds like he's been named after a part of the penis. Before getting up, he goes through some old photographs, the only scraps left to remind what real life was like. It turns out that humanity is on the brink of being replaced by advanced machines and technologies. Frendon walks through a tunnel to meet a woman named Mary, the only person who really cares about him down here. He addresses her as his mother, but she reminds him that his real mother left this place a long time ago. This mother kink has gone too far, it's not sexy, it's weird. She then urges him to break out of this place today, as there is a breach in the fence at Post 21. Frendon asks her to come along, but she kindly refuses, citing that she has some unfinished work to do. When he hesitates to leave her alone, she encourages him, saying that he is a smart individual and as long as he can think, no one can beat him. Before parting ways, she hands him a picture of a man and tells him to find him, as he is the only person who can guide him to freedom. Frendon then heads towards the exit checkpoint and requests for a break to spend some time on the surface. It turns out that it is a 15-minute break, which the people get once every 6 months to see the outer world. A female guard in the counter administers a small device on his arm, with a clock ticking for 15 minutes. She warns him to be back before the time counts down, or else he will face consequences. But unbeknownst to her, Frendon has something else in his mind, as he vows to make this precious 15 minutes count. After this, Frendon makes his way out of the underground facility and begins to search for Post 21. He soon locates it, but the gate is covered with a bunch of barbed razor wires. Despite this, he is determined to get out of there and proceeds. He sustains several wounds in the process, but somehow manages to make it to the other side. He then gets rid of the device on his wrist before heading forward. Later, as Frendon wanders through the streets of a ruined city, he stumbles upon an elderly man, Augustus. This man happens to be the same person from the picture whom he had been looking for. Frendon introduces himself and confides how he broke through the Common Ground in search of freedom. He also mentions Mary's name, asserting that he was sent by her. Upon hearing all of this, the old man takes him to a safe place where they can talk. Augustus takes him to his scrap house, where he helps him tend to his injuries. During this, the old man asks for the reason why he escaped from the Common Ground, to which Frendon reveals that he needs to find his mother. Augustus agrees to assist him, under a condition that Frendon also has to help him. Our hero wonders how he can help, and the old man tells him to divulge all the secrets, crimes, as well as the inner workings of the Common Ground. Their conversation is abruptly interrupted by a young girl who comes running to see Augustus's place. The old man walks out to see that she is being chased by 2 police officers, Bernard and Letty. In an attempt to save the girl, he asks the officers to let her go, even assuring that he will take her responsibility from now onwards. However, Officer Bernard disregards his concern and guns down the girl mercilessly. This infuriates the old man, who then gets into a physical brawl with the officers. Seeing this, Frendon decides to step in to rescue Augustus, but his efforts go in vain, as the old man ends up getting shot. In the aftermath of this event, the 2 other police officers, Otis Brill and Tilly V, restrain Frendon in an advanced wheelchair and take him to the court. It turns out that the courtroom does not have any human judges or juries. It is solely controlled by machines that provide automated justice.
Beep boop. He's an asshole.
A virtual judge figure appears on the machine's screen and starts questioning Frendon. He is charged for escaping the Common Ground facility and murdering 3 people: the young girl, Augustus, and a police officer on duty named Officer Bernard. According to the judge, if he is proven guilty, he will be executed right away by being placed in the wheelchair. Tilly feels terrible to hear this, but Otis tells her that the victim does not feel anything and will die in peace. Soon after, a lawyer appears on another screen in order to present Frendon's case. However, Frendon expresses his wish to carry out the defense by himself and requests the judge dismiss the lawyer. Being a smart guy, he uses his cognitive ability to trick the machines, causing the system to sustain several lags. When the system takes time to process, Officer Otis asks Frendon about what he is doing, to which the latter replies that he is making his way to find his mother. Furthermore, he believes that everyone has the right to be free and live their lives the way they want. As the court system gets back online, line, Frendon demands for 12 juries to be present in the court before the trial begins. After lagging for a while, the system agrees and presents memories of 12 random people on the screen, all of whom look sad. Frendon then starts to play numerous tricks and logical arguments, which leaves the machine answerless. As a result, a device attached to his brain releases an electric wave, rendering him unconscious. Tilly seems to be concerned, but Otis tells her not to worry because he is still breathing. He also asserts that they will be calling tech people if Frendon does not regain his consciousness in 15 minutes. While waiting, Tilly recalls how her mother used to tell her that the world has become like a dark prison and that everybody has been locked in a room with no doors or windows. In his subconscious mind, Frendon sees himself lying down in a field, conversing with Augustus. He wishes to give up on everything, but the old man reminds him about how a single intellectual person is a great threat to this machine-dominated world. He encourages him to keep on fighting because the machine can't defeat an intelligent person like him. A short while later, Frendon wakes up and bravely decides to continue with the trial. The judge then shows him the pictures of 3 people whom he has been charged with killing. He asserts that the pistol has Frendon's fingerprint, which clearly indicates that he is the culprit. Following this, Frendon begins his defense by explaining his entire predicament. According to him, he was born in the common ground 27 years ago and was forced to live the rest of his life in the underground darkness. He was already 16 when he saw the sun for the first time. In common ground, the children are not trained properly because there are no books. Everything he learned was from Saturday night movies. As a result of all this, he always looked forward to breaking out of that perpetual darkness and living the life he wanted. Nevertheless, the judge deems all of his backstory irrelevant to the case and orders him to come to the point. In response, Frendon asserts that Officer Bernard killed Augustus, as well as the young girl, not him. However, he does admit that he killed Officer Bernard to save Augustus. Hearing this, the judge says that the murder of a police officer is a capital offense, so the execution is mandatory. Frendon tries to fight back, asserting that the officers were trying to assault the young girl. Moreover, he also points out that the CCTV cameras on the streets were destroyed. Regardless, the judge dismisses his concern, saying that they do not need cameras because they have a witness of the entire incident, Officer Latte. After this, Latte appears on one of the screens and begins to recount the incident. He explains how Frendon instigated the brawl and tried to harm the little girl. According to him, Officer Bernard intervened to save the girl, but he dropped his gun in the process. Frendon took advantage of this and grabbed the gun to shoot down everyone around. Frendon claims that the officer is lying, but the judge refuses to believe him. In an attempt to prove his claim, he asks the judge to connect an access line to Augustus, the main witness of the incident. Though the judge initially claims that the person is no longer alive, Frendon insists on accessing Augustus's brain. Following this, the machine retrieves the memory from the elderly man's brain, showing the incident he saw before his demise. The video depicts the real incident, the police shooting the little girl and then getting into a brawl with Augustus. Frendon stepped in and killed Officer Bernard in order to save the old man, but Officer Latte killed Augustus anyway. A few moments later, the other police officers arrived at the scene and questioned the dying Augustus about the person who shot him. In a weakened voice, the elderly man responded, "A police officer." Upon watching this video evidence, all the jury members on the screen conclude that Frendon is not guilty. However, the judge is still adamant and convicts him for killing Officer Bernard. As a result, the innocent Frendon is pulled back to his wheelchair and is prepared for execution. The jury members, along with Officer Tilly, object to this decision, ensuing chaos in the court. This causes the court system to go down, so Officer Otis rushes to summon a tech guy. Amidst this, Tilly approaches the restrained Frendon and apologizes for not being able to help him. She expresses that she would be proud, happy, and honored if he was her friend. Shortly after, a long and pointed tentacle emerges from the machine that impales Frendon's head, resulting in his immediate demise. Death by weird kink. Officer Otis then returns back with the tech guy, who acts very casually as if nothing happened. He simply addresses the incident as a technical glitch and walks away. The next day, Tilly visits the courtroom and finds Frendon's identity card lying down on the floor. As she bends to pick it up, he suddenly appears on the screen, leaving her in utter shock. She wonders how this is possible, to which he discloses a shocking revelation. The jury members, who were in his favor, manipulated the court system and retrieved his brain, along along with his memories and personality, they made him a part of the machine so that he can try and save the other innocent people from ending up with the same fate. When Tilly does not believe him, Frendon's soul materializes in front of her, proving that his mind is still alive. He emphasizes that they must work together to overthrow the entire corrupt court system. Tilly finally agrees, so the projected version of Frendon walks towards her and fuses with her body before symbolizing their united effort to bring about change.